My great nation, distinguished members of press, I would like to greet you wholeheartedly and with affection. At the outset of my words, I would like to congratulate everyone for the Miraj night we observed yesterday night, expressing many good news to the Muslim and marking the ascension of our Prophet, peace be upon him, to heaven. I hope this holy night will bring about luck and success for everyone. In an era when tyranny is on the rise, God will not be making anyone feel obliged to carry any burden they cannot. Our lives, hopefully, will be more fruitful and productive thanks to this holy night we observed. Yesterday, one of the founders of National Outlook, Professor Outlook Vision, Professor Necmettin Erbakan's passing anniversary was marked, and we commemorated our professor with great gratitude on his 11th anniversary of passing. The fight he put up with for the prosperity of our country, we get inspired, and we, with this inspiration, continue on this path. May he rest in peace and in heavens. Of course, February 28th has another meaning for us, which is the February 28th military coup. In 1997, on February 28th, Turkey experienced another series of another turn of the post-modern coups, which indeed took start in 1961. On one hand, impositions on the elected governments were applied, and on the other, tanks were moved on the streets. And on the other hand, the governments were forced to resign. February 28 has been seared in our memories as one of the dark pages of history. Along with some politicians, bureaucracy, media, business world, and the would-be applauders of military coups, some NGOs, have, of course, been dismissed by the national will, as it was the case in many other military coups. Confining Turkey into fault lines like dissension and disorder, the responsible people of such acts were held to account in front of courts and in the conscience of our nation. In the February 8th process, which was run recklessly and with disrespect, the people who were held to account showed disgrace, which was exemplary. And then, April 27, 2008, a memorandum published was another example which was indeed immediately strangled, if you will, by our nation. And it showed once again that the Turkish armed forces are no longer responsible or will have a role any memorandums or military coups, but they will be in the agenda and has been in the agenda with their success. Over the past century of our country, after the National War of Independence and Cyprus Peace Operation, the biggest success has been achieved in this period. The Euphrates Shield Operation, Olive Branch Operation, and spring operations also were launched. Along with that, the fact that we stood with our Azerbaijani brothers and sisters who were trying to liberate their own soil have been written in history with golden letters as victories in Turkey's history. The crisis ongoing all our corners have been averted with the time, efforts, and means and opportunities that the Turkish armed forces have had, and also have ensured that Turkish armed forces will vitally be concentrated on their crucial roles. Those whose armies are not at the disposal of their nation and country, those who cannot ensure their own unity and togetherness, will lose their future and independence in such an era. And in such an era, Turkey has been a power that is on the rise in terms of economy, politics, and military, and has claimed its position. Our hope is that the military coups and attempts to military coups in our country will come to the same level of grasping comprehension and have the same approach that is local, domestic, and visionary. Unfortunately, on the night of July the 15th, a military coup attempt, and what we have experienced after that, show that some people do not have this required level of understanding. The fight of our people for the good of their beliefs and values indeed do not let those people be of the thoughts that they have had. And in many social and political discussions, we see the indicators of such a mindset. After February 28th, our great nation made a revision in Turkish politics, and there are still some who could not receive that message. Rights, righteousness, liberties, freedom have been respected, and these have been the main principles of our nation, and those who could not still learn that are the people to whom our nation has never left the governance of our country. With military coups and international operations, the results can be achieved, and such an era has been long gone, and that is why winning the consent of our people is the only method to come to a power end. The habits of single-party fascism and habits of juntas or military coups were used by some as accounts for their own good, and those who chase after such dreams will only be frustrated. Similar calculations were made before in the past, but all of them failed, as we would like to remind. After a quarter century, the February 28th military coup indeed gives us such messages for us to draw lessons from. However, over the past 20 years of Turkey, with sincerity and decisiveness, we have applied our politics of great work and service. And in all our cities, with all our 85 million people, as brothers and sisters, we have brought our country to an august position, which is a proof of the right path we have been on. May God protect us against all such similar coup attempts, tutelage, or whatsoever. My great nation, the world, has been going through a well-rooted, a radical change period, and we have been reiterating that. The global governing system that has almost a century-long history is collapsing. The Second and First World War that gave birth to that system were related with sharing and not equity. And we were not at the table as a party, but as a meal for some, if you will. While we overcame that challenging patch, we paid hefty prices. After the Second World War, the victors acted only with the principles of protecting their own interests, and this political and economic order that came to be is the most important item for the problems experienced. After the end of the Cold War, this system has lost its balance more and more. At each and every platform, we reiterate that the world is bigger than five and a fairer world is possible, and the irregularities in the global governing system do show again in every problem faced. In Syria, the tragedy, which is marking almost its 11th year, has been almost experienced in countries such as Gaza to Libya, from Arakan to Libya, and all across the world. And the blood shed and the pain suffered indeed are related with the global governing and administration problem and weaknesses relevant. Those who do not care but only their own interests do treat the societies and communities in the world as apparatus, and their dirty faces have been fully revealed now. As a matter of fact, Turkey has objected to that and started questioning, reiterating that the world is bigger than five. And those who first had their hesitation then have started seeing that our argument has been very much to the point. The developments unfolding in Ukraine most recently do prove that truth again. The party to the problem, or the countries that are the reasons for the problem, indeed are at the same time do occupy the positions of arbitration at the UN Security Council, and this fact makes things even more challenging. I would like to underline one fact very clearly. Turkey sides with peace, welfare, and prosperity in its region. We have shown our stance in Iraq and Syria, from Caucasia to the Black Sea, all the way down to the Mediterranean. We have exposed that each and every time. The crisis ongoing in the Black Sea is happening in between Ukraine and Russia, two friendly countries to us. And we made a call for them to solve the issue with dialogue, and we made suggestions and also proposed to be of arbitration. And the actual witnesses to that are the leaders of Ukraine and as well Russia. And for peace building, we have uninterruptedly continued with our efforts of multidimensional diplomacy, and we will. However, what was feared happened, and on February 24th, the guns were fired. And we, indeed, are very sad because of the current picture. Starting with NATO Leaders Summit, at each and every platform we will continue, as we have, the perspective of our country. As of February 12th, when the situation gave the signals to turn into military conflicts, we called the relevant contact numbers and also made necessary warnings. And we did not only get enough of that, we have made a call, an announcement to our citizens for them to leave the country. Turkish Airlines, with their frequent flights with big aircrafts, have supported the citizens of our country who wanted to leave the country, and all the other, of course, citizens of other countries. After the closure of the air traffic. The next day, following the conflicts, evacuation operations started through and through motorways and by buses, and we have been also exerting efforts to ensure the evacuation of our citizens by trains or buses. And also for the citizens of friendly and sisterly countries who ask for evacuation, we continue with our support. The Turkish flag ships in Ukraine and also Turkish trucks in the region are closely followed. So far, 5,000 Turkish citizens left Ukrainian soil and traveled back home or to some other countries of the region. Depending on the developments and also demands, we will continue with our evacuation operations through different channels. The Montreux Agreement and also about the ship traffic in Turkish straits, we have the authority and we are we have decided to use it to de-escalate the tension in this regard. As we always have said, we side with the territorial integrity of Ukrainian soil and respect to it. We believe that the attack to Ukrainian soil by Russia is unacceptable, and we appreciate the fight that the Ukrainian people and administration have had. Since the beginning of the crisis, Europe and the US have shown undecisive stance, in particular the attitude with no resistance. As of the February 24th morning, have been noted. Even these were the issues we ourselves experienced when our borders were under threat, and we have those reconfirmed with this Ukrainian crisis. My great nation, what's important for us, of course, in this whole process is our own stance. The UN and NATO and the EU. Starting with those and also along with other platforms and international organizations, Turkey has always acted in responsibility and will always deliver on our liabilities and responsibilities. We will not compromise on our own interests for sure. However, we will not neglect the global and regional balances. And that's why we will neither give up on Ukraine nor Russia, as we say. And for that, despite all the double standards and also attitudes of unrightfulness, we will never give up on our decisiveness in humanitarian terms. That's why our humanitarian sensitivity comes first, beyond other issues. And as we have welcomed all asylum seekers from Syria and many other regions, we continue to host many from Africa to South America. We keep close contact with all relevant parties, and we never do let down any society, any community, any peoples, or any country that have demanded help from us. To see Turkey's vision and foreign politics perspective, one has to have such a foresight and insight. Slender lies, manipulation, negligence, and ignorance may work for daily politics. However, one will fall short to understand high politics of Turkey with this narrow-minded approach. Turkey, which is the rising power of its region and the world, is reaching out to its future vision of 2023, and those who have no contribution to Turkey's vision should at least have a cold-blooded approach. The needs of our country will define the steering of our country, and it will not take us back to 1990s, but it will steer us towards 2053. And all the tests our country has endured over the past years, we believe that we will also overcome the crisis in the Black Sea region with no issue or trouble, and no one should have a doubt, because with its political, military, and intelligence infrastructure, Turkey has now been a state that is able to practice its own politics without desisting from our own principles. We will be taking matters to our own hands, and until we establish a structure in which we will be producing every mean that we need, we will work day and night and relentlessly. From education to health, from industry to agriculture, the strong infrastructure we have established give us many means for us to seize, and we will be taking all the necessary steps to turn everything into an opportunity for us to make strides. We have seen that in the phase of the pandemic. While in many developed countries, many public services that collapse, we never allowed anyone to be upset or turned down, and we have shown a successful performance. After the tremor of the global system, the restructuring phase that we have all entered into also has proven our resilience. The economic transformation we have started, despite all the negative impacts of FX, employment, export, production, and current account surplus-oriented successful economy model has been practiced. Those who try to label it as a crisis used the same tactics many times before. Since Gezi Park protests, no incident that took place in our country was the result of a natural course, but they had the aim to block Turkey away from its path. From PKK to Daesh, all the way to FETÖ, all terror groups with some heinous plannings and tactics acted with the same purpose and attacked us. Those attacks we have been enduring for many years. Many hidden or many disclosed or open attacks indeed have been stemming from the goals and hidden agendas of some to make our country stumble. Yes, we have paid prices, and our hearts feel the pain, but we have never diverged from our path and goals, and with God's help and also our nation's support, we have averted all crises and driven away all attacks and materialized all projects. Now we are at the phase of coming to the final stage, and for that we need to work more, produce a bit more, and be rather more calm. And we all need, the whole country needs a bit more patience. And the data announced today also do indicate that our economy program is successfully run. Last year's quarter was finalized with 9.1% of growth, and overall, annually, we grew by more than 11%. So among G20, OECD, and European countries, we have been the country which has registered the highest ratio of growth. Thanks to our balanced and stable growth, we also increase the scope of our investments and employment. In employment, we have created 3.2 million new jobs and have increased the participation to labor, and unemployment rates fell to 11.3%. Turkey, once Turkey makes it to the top 10 economies of the world, we will then have a brand new roadmap. Every incident experienced is evaluated from this perspective, and this is how we position ourselves and come up with our politics. Just like the pandemic, not only just like in the pandemic, not only our country but the whole world, primarily Europe, have faced the inflation crisis, and we are determined to solve that problem. The inflation problem that puts many people to a difficult position in terms of their daily lives and livelihoods. We are determined to find solutions, and with this we will be looking into the future with more confidence and enthusiasm altogether. On the other hand, in our most recent cabinet meeting, we announced the new regulations for the electricity prices for houses and also agricultural irrigation. The VAT applied has been brought down to 8% from 18. And also the low tariff limit has been brought to 8 kilowatts hour and 240 kilowatt hours monthly for dwellings. And this way, on the bills, we will be seeing a reduction in between 8% and 14% net. In other words, the subscribers for the dwellings will be paying overall 7 billion liras more annually. And the VAT regulation will be expanded in its scope to cover also workplaces. The subscribers will have a daily 30 kilowatts of hour and also 900 kilowatts hour of consumption of electricity, and they will be also having a 25% of reduction. This way, craftsmen and small shop owners will also be paying totally 7 billion liras of less amount for their bills. As I conclude, I would like to mention one more thing. For students and researchers, for the grants and scholarships we offer through TÜBİTAK, we will be making a lot of improvement. The monthly 750 liras of a scholarship will be increased up to 1,250, with more than 60% of increase for undergraduate students. And also, depending on their success and performance, graduate students will be granted with 3,000 to 4,250, and the PhD students will be receiving from 5,000 to 7,500, and for post-PhD students, this figure will be even higher. So as much as possible, these are some optimizations we try to achieve from the highest levels, and I hope that all of these will be auspicious for our students and also researchers. We have one more good news for our youth from TÜBİTAK. The intern researcher scholarship program we call the STAR program has been put to use, and thousands of students have been included into the projects or programs run by TÜBİTAK, and we ensured that they benefited from that. In this STAR program, the Ministry of Youth and also Ministry of Culture and Tourism will also be included. And with this new call for 300 archaeology projects, we will be supporting 2,300 students. Other than financial contributions and assistance, our students will have the chance to make research in the field of science, and also will have an inexpensive experience on sites. With these thoughts in mind, I would like to greet you all with love and respect one more time. Thank you very much. Stay in health.